Thank you, Drea. Thank you for those likes. Okay, wonderful. We're coming through. Hi, happy Friday. I hope you had wonderful Thanksgivings. Here we are in December, the last month of the year, and what is for some clinicians a slower time of year. So I hope that today's training is coming at a really good time because we're talking about 3 marketing strategies to focus on in slower seasons. So that is what we're here chatting about. If you are here joining me live, welcome. I would love to know where you're joining from. Please say hello in the comments. If you're catching the replay, wonderful. Maybe you're coming back in next slow season. Drop a hashtag replay into the comments. That will ensure that I see any questions you may have. And the beauty of being here live is that you can ask those questions. So after I make my way through my 3 strategies today, I would love to answer any questions you may have related to the content and what's going on in your practice. If this is your first time joining us, hello, my name's Anna. I'm thrilled you've made your way into the Get Booked Out community. If you ask me, this is the best community on the internet, and I hope you start to feel similarly. Everything that we do here is really focused on helping you market yourself and grow your practice in a way that isn't just effective because, hello, you need strategies that actually work, but is also authentic to you and feel good and right and aligned with who you are as a clinician and what makes sense for you in this stage of your practice, of your life, all of those kinds of things. So it's about striking that really important balance. Hi, Mary Jo. I'm so thrilled that you're here. Like I said, feel free to say hello in those comments. I'm curious, those of you who are with me right now, are you in a slow season? Will you let me know in the chat? As we sort of get started and maybe give you guys an opportunity to let me know, we noticed and we heard from many clinicians that September and October of this year were a bit slower than we would normally anticipate. I have lots of theories about that, and we're actually putting together a workshop and a survey to better understand that. Please keep your eyes peeled. This is going to be like a game changer of a survey for us to really understand what's working and what's not. So I think there's a lot of things at play, but it has been a little bit slower than we would anticipate for lots of different reasons. I do and have noticed there has been a bit of an uptick for some clinicians, and some have actually noticed like November picked up, which is great. Wherever you are, maybe you're slow, maybe you're not, maybe you're concerned, maybe you're not. Some things are happening out there, and it's really interesting and something that we're paying attention to. But typically going into this holiday season, you would expect more cancellations, possibly fewer inquiries. But then as we get into the new year, traditionally and seasonally, we would expect to see those sort of increase. So right now you might find yourself, hi, Tristan, I'm so happy you're here, in a bit of a lull. And so we're going to talk about what do you do with that lull, other than sit around stressed about it. Because this seasonality, these ebbs and flows in practice are just normal. That doesn't mean they're not stressful. And I want to acknowledge that. You can be as aware in your head of how normal ebbs and flows are and kind of this roller coaster is. That doesn't mean it always feels good down here. And so let me normalize that. If you're in that state right now, you're likely not alone. And I want to offer some encouragement to help you see this season through in a way that feels really productive and maybe putting that nervous energy to use. So that's what we're talking about here today. Now, let me get my notes pulled up, make sure I hit on all the good stuff. 3 things I want you to think about. If you are sitting around with more time in your schedule, fewer inquiries than you're used to, a caseload that's not quite where you want it, that gives you one of the absolute most valuable things you could possibly need in your marketing and in your practice and in your life: time. What do you do with that time? How do you make it useful? The very first thing I want you to do is take a look at what's currently out there. So I want you to audit your existing marketing. It is so easy to sort of go into autopilot with your marketing. You might spend weeks, months, years, creating a website, and you might launch that and then you don't know the last time you looked at it. I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that was even on our website, because I don't go back and look at it. It's not top of mind, especially when the inquiries are coming in. Well, as they slow down, that's not to say that your marketing is broken, but it is a really good opportunity to revisit it. So I encourage in this season, go and open up every page of your website. On a normal basis, I would recommend checking out just kind of 1 page a month so that you're not doing this like full audit all the time. But if you're in a slow season, open up your website and click through every single page and look for the language and the copy, the design, how you're presenting yourself, all of those things. Do those feel right? Because the fact is, your marketing is an evolution because you are an evolution. You are changing as a clinician. You are evolving in the way that you approach your work. You are learning more about your ideal clients and who you're the best therapist and the best fit for. We need to make sure that that marketing is reflecting that. And if you're in a slow season, the best way you can prepare yourself for the upswing is to make sure that that is correctly aligned with who you want to be attracting. And it's really accurately communicating who you are as a clinician. So audit your existing marketing, review every single page of your website. Any other regular content creation that you do, maybe your social media, if you blog, anything like that, go take a look at those as well. Make sure that those feel really aligned. And just make sure that whatever is out there related to your practice, directory profiles, another great thing to audit, is all of this aligned with who you want to be attracting. If the phone started ringing tomorrow based on who you're talking to and marketing to right now, would you be happy with that? If the answer is no, if the answer is I'm not sure, that shows you an opportunity to improve that, to tweak it, to evolve it, because you yourself are evolving. So first and foremost, audit your existing marketing. That has to happen. Or everything else that I'm going to recommend you do here, our other two strategies, aren't going to be as effective because you've got to get clear on where you're at. So that's sort of the filter to pass it through. If someone saw my marketing right now and the phone started ringing, would I be happy with who I'm attracting? Would I be attracting the right fit? And if the answer is I'm not sure, if people would be coming in questioning your specialties, if people would be coming in questioning your fees, how can you better articulate your approach, what sets you apart, and ultimately your value as a therapist? So audit your existing marketing. This is one of the best times to do that. Next, I referenced in our summary for this, for today's training, that slow seasons can actually help your SEO. And they can if you dedicate yourself to creating some content. If you have been through one of our programs, Fill Your Practice Formula, Confident Copy, or just been around here for a while, you know that our approach is about defining a number of focus areas for your practice. Those focus areas would be specialties or demographics that you work with. So it might be teens, grief, and anxiety. It might be EMDR, trauma, and entrepreneurs, whatever that might be, a handful of specialties or focus areas. I want you to Google yourself, and I want you to see how you're ranking for those specialties. So if I were to go, for instance, typing in therapy for entrepreneurs in Nashville, are you where you want to be? Now, what we're talking about here as far as SEO goes is not the only piece of SEO. And if you've been around here for a while, you know that. But whatever is either A, not where you want it to be, and or B, is the main focus, the main clients you'd like to be bringing in. So again, if it is trauma, grief, and entrepreneurs, which of those three is most important to you? Which one would you like to be attracting more of? And I want you to use this time to create 3 blog posts about that topic. Maybe you're a couples therapist. Maybe you are going to create and that's something you really want to be bringing in. You want to be attracting more couples. You want to improve your ranking there. I want you to use this season to create 3 blog posts about that topic in particular. So maybe you do one on healing from infidelity. Maybe you do one on communication. Maybe you do one on self-care or, relationship self-care or something like that. And I want you to draft up 3 blog posts specific to your primary specialty, the thing that you want to be prioritizing and you want to see the calls increasing for. Now, those blog posts should be at least 750 words, ideally upwards of 1,000. And I've actually been thinking, kind of noodling on like a ChatGPT guide for this. ChatGPT should never write your content for you, but ChatGPT is very helpful in outlining. If that would be something that would be helpful for you, will you let me know in the comments? Because like I said, it's something that I've been thinking on. Is sort of a framework for getting those ideas out from ChatGPT. Because I know when I sit down to write a blog post, the hardest thing is, what do I say? Especially if I have to write 1,000 words about it. ChatGPT could be really helpful there. But creating some content focused around your primary specialty. Now that is going to be really powerful because you're going to be showing Google, you're going to be showing your clients that you are an expert and an authority in this area. You are going to be having a chance to sort of iterate and flesh out your own approach, which can actually be really helpful for you. This can be just a really, really powerful tool and strategy for so many reasons. So if you're sitting here, maybe December, you're like, yeah, my books just aren't full. right? Your schedule isn't full. Please set aside some time and knock out these 3 blog posts. You don't have to, we talk a lot about blogging and how it's important to be consistent, and it is. Ideally, if you're going to pick up blogging, I would want to see you start to do that regularly. But guess what? If you write 3 blog posts, that can cover you for a good while. Maybe you schedule them out over the, every 2 to 4 weeks over the next couple of months. Then maybe you sit down for another slow season and knock out another handful. This doesn't have to be something that you're doing every single week. I really recommend batching your creation of things like this. And if blogging isn't something that you're just going to keep doing over the long term, that doesn't mean that having a handful of posts really relevant to your specialties is hurtful. Actually, it's not going to harm you. So even if you can't commit to blogging until kingdom come, at least use this season to create some really great signals for Google and for your clients that you're an expert in the specialty you want to be focusing on. So the strategy here about creating content, I want you to choose the priority specialty and create 3 blog posts specific to that one. That's my recommendation here. Now, if you are on social media, if you do any other sort of content creation, podcast, YouTubing, things like that, those are a little bit less common. Maybe you post on Instagram. Use this time too to batch some content. We're not on Instagram. Blocker Strategy Co. is not on Instagram because it feels overwhelming to me. And I so much would rather hang out in this Facebook group than make an Instagram. But if that's something that you like to do, one of the stressful parts, is creating content on an ongoing basis, right? Signing on and being like, what am I going to say today? The beauty of concentrated time like this, when your calendar and your schedule is slower, is you have more of that margin. You have a bigger chunk of time to give yourself to that. And so you can get into flow, right? You can really let that creativity flow and therefore create more content at once that you can use over time. So that when you get into busy January and your phone starts to ring again, you've got some great content lined up. So use this season, use this time, if it's a week, if it's a month, to create some content. Lots of you saying yes on the ChatGPT thing. Awesome. I'm going to give that some thought and get that, start formalizing that in my mind. So creating content, that's the next thing I want you to do next. All right. I mentioned that we're working on a survey and we're working on a workshop about trends that we're seeing in marketing. And let me give you a little sneak peek. One of these trends is that networking is no longer just a nice to have. Networking is critical. If your goal is to be a private pay clinician, networking has to happen. And guess what? When things are slow, when the referrals slow down, or you're in that kind of slow season in your practice, networking is one of the best times to be networking. Why? Well, if you're networking with other therapists, they're probably also slow too. They probably have the time in their schedule to hop on a 15-minute Zoom and learn about you. They're probably more open to learning. The thing about that approach to marketing and networking is that you're not trying to connect with other therapists in hopes they're going to send you a client tomorrow. You are connecting with these therapists in hopes of cultivating a long-term relationship. You're approaching this from a place of curiosity to learn about them, to learn about their niche, to know how to refer to them in the future. And similarly, for them to know how to refer to you. So it's not about this season of networking is not about trying to find therapists or other professionals that are going to send you a client tomorrow, but about connecting with people and fostering that over the long term, because networking is a long-term strategy. I'll often hear from clinicians who are like, oh yeah, I made this connection with someone a year ago or 2 years ago, and they just sent a client my way, or they started sending multiple clients my way. So this is a great time to connect with new ones and reconnect. People that are already in your circle, when was the last time you touched base with them? When was the last time? There are so many studies around kind of the psychology of marketing and of networking and things like that. And being in regular contact and being top of mind is so important. And so if you're not yet tracking your networking contacts, start doing that. If you are, revisit those. When was the last time you touched base with those folks? Even if it's just to commiserate that things are hard and slow right now. It's still fostering that connection. It's bringing you back to top of mind, and it's making you more, kind of more visible with these folks. So connect and reconnect. Now, the reason I say this at the end as strategy number 3 is because we need to make sure that your marketing is in tip-top shape. We don't need to make sure, but it's advantageous to make sure before you go fostering these reconnections and these people are like, oh yeah, Anna, I'm going to visit her website. If your website isn't up to par, if your website isn't doing what we need it to, if your marketing isn't doing what we need it to, it wasn't as effective as it could have been. So that's why I want you to make sure that you feel really good about the state of your marketing, of your website, of your content, all those pieces, so that when you go reconnect with these people and when you become top of mind for them again, they visit your website and they're like, holy cow, I know exactly who I can send to Anna. I know exactly who I can send to Tristan, whatever that is. So connect and reconnect. Remember, going at this from a place of curiosity, not from a place of like grabby, I need a client, but hey, how's it going for you? Tell me about your niche. What would be the best way for me to send a referral your way? Who do you not work well with that I should know about? Get curious about people. Connect and reconnect. If you're not hanging out in Facebook groups in your geographical area, it's a great place to be doing that. If you're slow, chances are other therapists are too. And that means you both have the time and the margin to connect, to enjoy one another, to get to know one another. And not only could that be strategic marketing wise, but guess what? You won't feel like you're on an island. That's one of the hardest parts of when you're in a slow season in business, is you might look around and you see, well, other people are getting clients. You're not the only one there. And so the solidarity, the validation, the normalization of it is so, so, so powerful too, and can sort of pick your spirits up if things feel a little bit stressful right now, because slow seasons are stressful. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So the 3 things that I recommend here: 1, audit your existing marketing. Make sure, again, that filter to pass it through. If someone called me based on what they see here, would I be attracting the right fit clients? Would I be attracting people that are ready to work with me, are ready to do the work, are motivated, aren't going to question my fees, whatever that is? And if not, what can you do to improve that? Right? Making sure that that is in tip-top shape. Look at every page of your website, even if there are ones that you haven't looked at in years. Then create content. My recommendation here is to prioritize a single specialty rather than spreading yourself thin. Prioritize one, draft at least three blog posts that are at least 1,000 words each around that topic to show both your clients and Google that you're an authority in that space, and batch any other content creation that you do. So if you're on social media, sit down and create a handful of a bit of content so that it's scheduled out even when the phone starts to ring again. And then 3, connect and reconnect. If you are someone who identifies as an introvert, if you hate networking, there is a way to make it work for you, but no longer can you sit around and just hope those clients come. I'm telling you that from observing hundreds of clinicians this year. You got to find a way to do it. You can do it in person. You can do it directly. You can do it in groups. You can do it in Facebook groups, whatever that might be. You've got to find a way to form connection with other people, and let that be exciting and energizing as best you can rather than intimidating. Reaching out again in that spirit of curiosity. Those relationships and connections will serve you, not just connecting to them. That's the other thing I want to call out here is when it comes to networking, you're not just connecting to this person's circle. You're connecting to the people that they know in their circle. And so you're broadening your reach as a practice. And as long as you're clear on who is the right fit for you and what your niche is, you're really easy to refer to for countless more people to be able to send clients your way. So going in with that spirit of curiosity and really clear on your ideal client and what sets you apart. Those are the 3 things to focus on. The other thing, if anyone hasn't told you yet, you deserve to rest. I've given you a whole bunch of things to be thinking about because I know if you're like me, that nervous energy is like, what do I do with this? I need to do something. I want to tweak something. It doesn't require an overhaul. You can do these 3 things, but also rest, enjoy it. Enjoy the margin in your calendar to be able to sign off early or take your daughter to Target like I did today. Like, enjoy that. Take a moment for yourself, for your family, enjoy a slower season and what it can mean for you as a person, as a clinician, to care for yourself and to rest. So please don't forget that as well. Alrighty, any questions about this one? I haven't seen any come in. I'm seeing some yeses, like I said, on the chat GPT. So I will give some thought to that and try to get that your way as soon as I can. Please keep an eye out for the survey that's coming your way this month. Our goal is to get at least 1,000 therapists to take this survey, and it's going to give us incredible data that we're going to share back with you about what therapists are specializing in, what they're struggling with, what's working, what's not. It's going to be amazing. So please keep an eye out for that. And then in January, we're going to be hosting a workshop about kind of sharing the data and sharing the trends that we're seeing and what needs to happen in order to be successful in practice in 2024. Lots of good things coming because we want to share this with you. We want to equip you with the info that you need to continue being successful. Alrighty. Victoria said, yes, huge introvert. You are not alone. I meet many clients that we serve, also identify as introverts. There is a way to form connection and for it to not be completely, depleting in that regard. Sarah said, do you recommend blog posts about your modality or more about the topic area? So a modality would be EMDR, somatic experiencing, or more about the topic area, sex therapy. Great question, Sarah. It can be both. These days, modalities are growing in kind of the general awareness. And so you may know that clients come to you asking for EMDR. People come in like, I heard you do EMDR. I'm here because of that. That's usually a good signal to you that should be one of the items that you focus on in your marketing. You probably need a method page on your website. If you're in Confident Copy, you know what I'm talking about. We have a full framework for that. But so you absolutely can position it around a modality, especially if people are coming to you for that one thing. If they're not, then I would recommend focusing more on the topic area of sex therapy or of relationships or, whatever that might be. So it really comes down to what your clients come in looking for help with. What are they typing into Google? What are they wondering about? And letting that sort of dictate how you decide to structure things. But in your case, I think both can absolutely work. Any other questions, friends? Was this helpful? I tried to keep my last marketing training went really long. So I tried to keep this one's a little bit shorter, a little more bite size. Although I can, chat about this stuff forever. Anything else you're wondering about? All right. Well, you know where to find me if you need me. Drop a comment into this this comment box below the video. Even if you're watching the replay, always happy to come back. Tristan, I'm glad this was helpful for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. If you're enjoying a slow season, enjoy it. Be in it, make the most of it, but also please take some time off and enjoy what this time allows for you. Kind of either way. Sarah said your training is less well known, but more people are coming to you for it. So we'd love to do some posts. Awesome. That's the last thing I'm going to leave you with. And this is something we're actually going to talk about in our workshop too, is these days because people are starting to become more aware, right? Mental health is being destigmatized. People are becoming more aware of different methods. If you can get in early on optimizing your website around a particular method, EMDR is a good example of one that's sort of starting, brain spotting, IFS, accelerated resolution therapy, all of those other ones, I think we're going to start to see that trend that way as well. So if you have a handful of clients coming to you saying, I'm interested in brain spotting, optimizing your website and making sure that you can rank well for that now is going to serve you very well as more and more people become aware of it and it becomes something that people are looking for. So a great thing. Victoria said your focus areas are very interrelated. We have one specialty that is much more specific than the others. Okay to market all three on my website. Victoria, yes. I mean, based on what you've shared here, absolutely. We actually, you guys are hitting on all the things we're going to be sharing about, but we're going to be diving deeply into this too, is we call that like a micro niche, a very specific niche alongside kind of some more general ones is actually a great marketing strategy these days. So yes, I absolutely think it'd be good to include all three on your website for the purposes of these strategies we were talking about here today. I would choose one and craft content around that as kind of your priority. So alrighty, this was fun. I hope you guys are feeling energized. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the holiday season. Lots of exciting things coming your way. Keep an eye on your inboxes and the group. I'm so thrilled you were here. Talk to you later.